Hey everybody, welcome to Bestie Book Reviews. I'm here with my bestie Mandy.
And I'm here with my bestie Jessica.
So what's today's video, Mandy?
Enemies to lovers. But ironically, neither one of us really seeks this trope out.
No, it's a hard one. And I think it's often miscategorized. So it's hard. But before we get started with that, what do you want to tell them?
Nothing.
Now I know that's not true.
All right, make sure you hit that subscribe button because we give away free books on our channel. So even if you're watching this video months down the road and we've already given away these books, we will have more books that we're giving away. And all you have to do to be entered is to hit that subscribe button. You can also follow us on Instagram for an extra entry.
All right. So this really was hard for me to come up with these guys. I feel like this is often miscategorized, and I don't feel like we said, I don't feel like I seek this trope out. But I did my best.
Okay. I had a lot on my list, but I moved some because I'm like, oh, actually, this is bully.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, oh, this really wasn't that. Like, they just didn't really like each other, or one person didn't like the other person. It didn't really feel like enemies. Like, I feel like enemies, there needs to be like some strong feelings there.
Yeah. So that was really hard.
Yeah.
But I got some. So
Let's go.
Let's do this. Okay. So the first one I have is, I read it a few years ago. It's a barbarian type romance. We're just gonna go with that.
Fantastic.
I know you're so excited. So this one is called How the Warrior Fell. It's by Nicole Renee, and it is about Chief Xavier. He's the chief of his clan, and then you have Leowen, I think is how you say her name, and she is from a neighboring clan. She is forced to marry Xavier. He takes her from everything she's ever known. He takes her from her family. Her clan is far away from where his is at. And he is extremely cruel to her. So definitely check triggers. This is dark. And he is not the kindest guy at all. He's pretty abusive in the beginning. And she loathes him. He's taken her from everything she's ever known. And he is cruel and mean to her. And she is just biding her time to escape. He doesn't like the fact that he had to get married. It's a whole thing. And they really just don't like each other. So she's trying to leave him. She longs to escape. It's what I got. It's good. I read it a couple of years ago. I really loved it. Yeah.
Okay.
Seriously, I'm struggling with these guys, but this is it. This is their enemies for sure.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
For sharing.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks for having me. All right, what do you got? Please do better than me.
I hope I do.
Gosh, I feel very flustered by these because I'm just like, what if they're not and I'm wrong? But you know,
this one has really been weighing on you because I think you've called me like 3 times stressing about it, and then also like you lectured me about how it's objective, and I'm like, I get that, and you're like, no, I don't think you understand how objective it can be.
No,
and I'm like, if you look at the Goodreads list, I'm sure we all understand.
Oh my gosh, it had some on there that should have never been on there. A lot of them. But yeah, it is. It flusters me. Sorry, guys. It just does.
Well, you go do some deep breathing while I tell everybody about the Frat Boy.
All right, let's do that.
Okay, so mine is The Frat Boy by Nikki Sloan. This is part of the Nashville neighborhood. They can be read as standalones, but this series is a lot of fun, so I recommend the whole series. This is the only enemies to lovers in this series, though. So here we have Madison and Colin, and they are both in college, and they're both in sororities. And there's this Greek row competition that's happening, and Madison catches Colin cheating, and she goes ballistic on him. And they end into this like big fight type thing in the middle of the competition. and which results in the two of them both getting kicked out of their sorority houses, and school's already started, so they have nowhere to go. So Madison and Colin, both unbeknownst to each other, end up going to live at this house where they will be making porn with the people in the home. So it's a little weird. It was a little too porny for me, if you will. But I still enjoyed it, and it's definitely enemies to lovers. So these two hate each other because they blame each other for getting kicked out and for things going awry. And now here they are going to have to work together in very, very intimate ways. Dun dun dun.
That's one way to fix that not liking each other situation.
And she would be in the sorority, he would be in the frat, right? I said they were both in a sorority, but he's in the frat, she's in the sorority. But they have the Greek row competition against the different frats and sororities.
Okay.
Anyway.
Okay.
See that paddle? It was different.
Okay.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so my next one is by Celia Aaron. I've talked about this one a couple times, but I like this one a lot, and it really doesn't get the love that it deserves. So we're going to talk about it here. So that is Counselor. This is the first book in her trilogy, which is the Acquisition trilogy. This one is about Sinclair and Stella. So Stella's dad did something stupid, and he's I think it's like he is facing charges. I think it's for embezzlement, if I remember right. So he's facing charges. Sinclair is the counselor, like he is the lawyer. He's coming to get her dad, and instead of hauling her dad off to jail or prosecuting him, he decides, because he's the prosecutor is what he is, he decides that he's going to take Stella instead, because his family, he belongs to this family in the South. And this family, all these elite families in the deep South, have this competition every 10 years to see who is going to be top dog. And that person like runs like all of these big empires and runs everything that brings the money to these wealthy Southern families. And so he needs basically a slave for a year to be his competitor in these competitions and win them for him. And these things are horrible. Like I was trying to figure out how she was ever going to survive it. He doesn't like her because of her standing, because of her dad, because of the situation that he's being put in. Because when he puts her into these competitions, when she finally agrees to it, like she hates it because of the situation he's putting her in and how cruel he is to her. But she doesn't do what he expects, and she flips the tables on him several times, which just brings the animosity to the situation. But this one is really good. I highly recommend it, obviously, because I'm talking about it. But all right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for thanking me.
All right.
Here, what do you got next?
My next one is Loathe Thy Neighbor by Tegan Hunter.
Okay.
And so I think one of the reasons I don't really care for enemies to lovers, I don't like bully really either, because I just don't like the meanness. I only like meanness when it's the mafia men and then they're like changed for their women. That's what I love. Anyway, so Loathe Thy Neighbor by Tegan Hunter. No bullying. They just don't like each other. So we have Noah, who plays his music too loud in his apartment, and River, who it drives insane. So she is so mad. She marches over there. She just got out of the shower. She's in a towel. She marches over to his apartment, bangs on it, and proceeds to like chew him out about it. In the meantime, he had something cooking in his kitchen, and his kitchen catches fire while she's yelling at him. So she feels really bad, even though she doesn't like him and he really annoys her. She feels really bad that this happened and that it was kind of her fault. So she agrees to let him stay with her because there's nowhere else for him to go. And that's how they kind of go from, I wouldn't even call them enemies. They just don't like each other, because he gets annoyed. She's always asking him to turn his music down. She gets annoyed that she always has to. So it's pretty light on that, but I still really, really enjoyed it. And there's an emotional support turtle. Like, what more could you want in a book, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Next.
So the next book I have is also in a series, but it's one that I read years ago. I still love it. It got me into Tate James's writing. Like, I like Tate James as an author. So we're going to talk about Madison Kate. So this is Hate in the Madison Kate series. This starts out as Enemies to Lovers. So Madison Kate is the daughter to a wealthy man in her town. I can't remember exactly what her dad did, but he's definitely got some standing going on. And one night there, she goes out, it's the night before Halloween, or it's on Halloween, and she goes out to a fight that's happening at this, like, I think it's a carnival or circus, like an old one that's like worn down or whatever. And when she's there, a shooting happens. And so everybody kind of runs in all the different directions, and she gets saved by these guys who send her on. They put their sweatshirt on her. One of them puts a sweatshirt on her, and then they send her on her merry way to keep her nice and safe. They weren't that nice to her, but they were somewhat nice to her. Well, she gets pulled over that night, and lo and behold, the key to the area that they were in, because it's always locked up, is in her jacket. So she gets prosecuted. It's in the sweatshirt the guy put around her shoulders. So she gets prosecuted for being like the instigator behind this whole situation that happened. And so instead of getting jail, she goes to live with an aunt when she's on probation. And after about a year, she comes home. And these boys, who she loathes because they have put her into that situation, are now living at her house because one of the boys' mom is now engaged to Madison Kate's dad. And they don't like her because she's a spoiled rotten brat. So this starts a reverse harem. It is White Shoes. It is reverse harem, but it starts out as Enemies to Lovers. They all do. But
Of course, you would be able to fit that trope into this video.
yeah. Some take to her sooner than others.
Okay.
Okay. I did it. I fit it in there.
Congrats.
Yep. Okay.
Well, my next book is just straight up Enemies by Tijan. So we have Dusty. Dusty is our heroine of our story. And Stone is our hero, and this is Stone. Stone, everything in Stone's life has kind of just gone well from where Dusty stands. They were neighbors, and she thought they were very good friends, and she now hates him and has since they were in 6th grade. This is hard to really give you much information on what it's about because why they don't like each other and all of these things that have derailed Dusty's life unfolds throughout the whole story. So basically, every time something bad happened to Dusty, something great happened to Stone. Like her dad gets fired, Stone gets drafted into the NFL. Dusty's mom dies, Stone's team wins a championship. And now they're both at like the same college. Or maybe he wasn't drafted into the NFL. Oh, I don't know. He went off to college. Oh, he went into a Division 1 college. Sorry. So they are now in the same town and more things are happening. And basically what kind of happens is the only person that's there for her is her enemy. Dun, dun, dun. So I know I kind of made a mess out of trying to like get you excited about reading this book, but it's hard when you don't know why they don't like each other, and that comes out. Why are you making faces while I'm talking?
One of my books fell.
So rude.
Sorry.
Anyway, so you find out what has happened like through as the story goes along. So it's kind of one of those go in blind situations.
Well, I looked kind of funny when you flipped over there because I forgot a book and I had to jump up and run over and then come back and get comfortable again. Okay, so I know that you were highly impressed that I was able to fit a Why Choose into this video, but you're going to be doubly impressed because I managed to fit an Ice Planet Barbarian into this video. Shocking. So let's talk about this. So this is Barbarian's Mate. This is like number, I want to say it's like 6. It's early on in the Ice Planet Barbarians. So this one's just a lot of fun. But this is about Hayden and Josie. Whew, wow, that was hard. Josie and Hayden. So Josie is the last of the girls, the original girls that landed on the ice planet to resonate. She's had an IUD, and you can't resonate and make babies if you have an IUD. Josie and Hayden have been at each other's throats from the moment she crash landed onto this planet. They have just hated each other. They can't even be in the same room together because they just bicker constantly. Hayden had resonated before. He had a mate before, and his mate before was older than him. And if you've read any of these books, you know that you can only get one mate. You only resonate one time. But this woman that resonated to him, or this alien that resonated to him years ago, rejected him and didn't want him because she had a lover already that was not a resonate, like they didn't resonate. She just had him as a lover. And he was younger than her, and so she rejected Hayden. Well, when everybody got sick and started to die, which is why they don't have a lot of women on their planet, she was one that died. Hayden's Quee also died, and they had to get him a new cootie. So now he has a new cootie, and that is how he's able to resonate. So one day she's hanging out. She's just really upset. Everybody's having babies. Everybody is resonating, and she is the last human woman just hanging out on this planet. And all of a sudden she hears or feels something hit her foot, and she looks down. Her IUD just slips right on out. So she kind of goes running around the cave, like to all the guys, just saying hi, see, hey, to see if she'll start to resonate. And all of a sudden she hears the sound of somebody's chest vibrating, which is the sound of resonance. And she turns around, and it is Hayden. And she is just mortified that it's him. She hates his guts. He doesn't like her. It's great. Like, how do you work that out? So that's theirs. I did it. I fit a nice Planet Barbarian in.
Good job.
Mm-hmm.
So lucky us.
Yes. Okay.
All right. My next book is Undertoe by Elizabeth O'Rourke. I do believe this is like her very first or like her second first book that she ever wrote.
Okay.
So, and here we have Maura and Nate. And Maura and Nate grow up spending their summers together. Maura's family is extremely rich, and she goes out to her grandparents' house for the summers every summer. And Nate's family is the help there. And so they spend their summers together, and Maura could care less that Nate's family is the help, and Nate could care less that Maura's family is the rich family. They just are friends, and they really fall for each other. As they become teenagers, that turns into something more. And then one day, Nate just completely disappears out of her life. And she's bitter. Like, she's bitter with him. And for some reason, he doesn't like her anymore either. And several years later, they're now in their 20s, and they run into each other again in the summer. And Maura is like, still feels something for him, but it's clouded by her frustration and anger. And we don't understand why she is so angry with him. And that comes out later in the book. And we don't understand why Nate is so angry with her either. So we kind of go from friends to lovers to enemies, back to lovers, kind of in a roundabout way. I enjoyed it a lot, but it's not your typical like enemies, because they start off as friends and then become enemies. But again, we don't know why. You have to read the book, and it's kind of told to you as things go back, as there's flashbacks. It's told like kind of in dual timelines.
Okay. All right. So I managed to get like another barbarian type book in here. It's Viking.
Oh, yay.
I know, but it was so good.
Okay.
So this is Nina, and it's by Ann Bolter. So this is about Nina and Jarl. Jarl is he's our Viking conquest dude. He's out conquering, good gravy, the world in his Viking ship. And he lands in this area. He's farther south. I think it's like the Turkish area or whatever. If I looked at maps and tried to figure it out, I think it's like that. But he lands here, and there are all of these tribes have who, they have their own little areas, but they're doing like a tribal game thing to look for husbands for their women, and their women's get to be warriors. They're warriors in their own right here. And that is where we find Nina. So she's her dad is a chief, and she is competing, and she's doing this, being seen at this place to get herself a man because her dad thinks she needs a man. And Jarl and the rest of the Vikings, they show up and they do what they do. They start killing everybody off, and they start attacking. And Nina fights back, which intrigues him, frustrates him, but intrigues him. And so he takes her as a captive. She hates him with a passion. Like, he keeps her chained up at well, in his tent, like against a pole. He chains her, and he even has other women in there with him, trying to tempt her. Like, he is frustrated because she won't just talk to him, won't give it up. He's very angry with her over all that. She just hates him. He's taken her from her family. He's attacked her family. She doesn't know if her family's alive. He wants her as his woman, and she wants nothing to do with him at all. So, it was really friggin' good. Really good. It was a 5-star read. I loved it.
I feel like that's capped or captive.
No, she hates him.
Oh my gosh.
Look, I told you, I got nothing. This is what you're getting.
Okay.
Yeah.
My next true enemies to lovers is The Torment of Two by Kay Webster. So here we have, and this is the last in, the Shameful Secrets series. You do not have to read them in order, but it's a really good series. So I recommend starting with book 1 and working your way through. There's lots of fun tropes in there because it's Kay Webster. And we end with this one. So we have Gemma's story finally. And Gemma is wanting to go to college and kind of break free from her parents, specifically her father's extreme control over her life and protection of her. And she kind of just wants to live her life, basically. And she was going to college and she meets Two. Two is a nickname, but that's what everybody calls him. And her and Two don't have a good meet cute. They don't like each other. Two is very standoffish and rude to her, and she's very off put by his attitude. So I don't know if I would. Two definitely feels like her whole family is the enemy, and she's just more irritated with him and how he acts towards her. So they do not get along. And now they're paired up to do an assignment together where they have to go and visit this older house for this architect assignment. And they are forced to spend time together. But during this time, Gemma ends up with a stalker. And whose feelings towards Gemma starts to change a little bit. So I really enjoyed this. I mean, Kay Webster's a fantastic author. So it was definitely good. That wraps up my enemies to lovers.
Okay, that wraps up mostly my enemies to lovers. Seriously, let's never do this trope again. Ever. I don't like it.
In the comments, please let us know what videos you would like to see from us, since Jessica is starting to take strong stands.
Yeah, a little bit.
In the future, this trope will be convincing.
It's not that I don't like the trope. I just don't like having to find books in the trope because I feel like I have a hard time doing that. Just to be clear. Just to be clear. Yeah, all right. Thank God that's over. Okay, guys. Wow, that's over. Yay! What do I tell them?
Please don't let Jessica's strange personality make you leave our channel. She is just in a mood today.
A little bit.
All right, make sure you check back on Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturdays for new videos from us. Also hit that notification button because we love to just drop surprise videos.
Yes. And we've got several planned that are coming. So we're excited.
So make sure to leave us some comments. You can comment about enemies to lovers. What do you think about it? Do you like it? What are some books that we should have tried in this trope? And, Tell us what videos you'd like to see us do. We love to hear from you, and we do take down your suggestions. Sometimes we can get to it sooner than later. It just depends on what we've been reading and all of that. But we do love your suggestions, so thank you.
Yep. And thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next video.